Jesus Christ, we did it. Oh, there's been so many attempts today. Oh, it's taken me so long, but oh my god, we finally got it done. Hi there, and welcome to episode 9 of a GIM Story. Today I decided I was going to tackle a bunch of new PVM stuff that I've never tried before. But first, as always, I had to start with the dopamine trees over on Fossil Island and max out that 45k XP per mahogany tree. Great thing for my farming level. As you see, I get 95 here, so only 4 more levels to go until we get that 99 farming. At that point, I think I'll still continue to farm, but it'll mostly just be herb patches, and then any contracts in the farming guild and all my other seeds can be funneled through to my teammates to help them get their farming up, as they've both started to really get into their farming runs, which is great. It's only taken them, just over a year, but we're getting there. So the first thing I wanted to try is I got an Abyssal Demon task, so I wanted to try and kill the Abyssal Sire. It was always something I'd looked at before and thought, oh, this boss is really tough, you have to use ancient magics, and my first attempt, as I would hope a lot of people do, is it was quite unexpected. I just straight up died. I had my auto retaliate on, and I was just getting pounded by all of the minions, so I ended up dying. So with this boss, as I'm sure many people have probably watched a guide on it, what you have to do is use a shadow spell from the ancient spellbook to stun the sire. Then you have to go around and kill the respiratory system, like I do them one at a time. If you are high level or you have something like the blowpipe, you could kill 2 and then stun again, and then carry on. Then the Abyssal will walk towards you. I put Protect Melee on with Piety, use the Arc Light, try and at least get 1 spec in. I'm not sure if 2 specs is more effective, but I always just go with 1, because then if I'm lucky, I can stay for a second kill, and then I have a spec for that. So then once the side gets below 200 health, you have to go to the spots I've got marked, and then move from tile to tile, because she spawns her little pools of acid, and you have to move back when she gets to another threshold. It's quite a complex thing, and I would recommend watching a more in-depth guide. But we got our first kill there, so I decided after a few kills, I think 20 or so, I thought, well, I'll move back and I'll do the rest of the task at normal demons. And lo and behold, I got another Abyssal Head. Out of my 1800 kills, I've had 2 Abyssal Heads and only 2 whips. Now, that's either really lucky or really unlucky. I'm not quite sure which way that swings. But either way, I have a red recolor for my Slayer helm when I eventually have a surplus of Slayer points. So I'm not going to complain about that. The next thing is me and my partner Gim Gumption decided we would try and take on the DKs. Now I don't think we were in a position to try and tribrid them, so we were going to just try and kill Rex and Supreme to try and get the Berserker ring for him, because I already have one, and then try and get a Archer's ring for us both. Now I didn't record any more of this first trip, but lo and behold, Gumption managed to get a Berserker ring at something ridiculous like 18 KC, and we've got another Dragon Axe and everything like that, so it's really cool. So then on the next trip round, we realised we couldn't do Supreme the way we wanted to, and one of us would have to kill Prime. So I elected to do that, so I bought a range switch while my partner bought a melee switch, and once we'd killed Rex from the safe spot, I would go up and tag Prime, he would run around the side and kill Supreme. Now, while we were doing this on this second trip, it was actually really helpful. I believe a maxed main came into the arena and just started killing Rex, and we were like, "Whoa, dude, what's the problem?" And he's like, "Oh, only Rex. Like, must be going for collection log slots or something." So that actually helped us a huge amount in terms of supplies, because we could just focus on the 2 that we were killing. Me taking the aggro away from Prime, while my partner tried to get Supreme and get the Archer's ring. Unfortunately, throughout this trip and another trip, I think we weren't able to pull the Archer's ring, which is a bit disappointing. But at least we both now have Berserker rings and Dragon Axes, and we have a couple spare. So you'll see my KC here. I've got 1 for Supreme, 20 on Prime, and I'm at 166 from Rex. So fairly lucky on Rex, and the others I can't really quite say whether or not I'm lucky or not. I didn't get them all at the same time, so didn't get the elite diary requirement either, which is a bit unfortunate. So I continued my Slayer grind, because I just wanted to try and get some of these creatures where I could go and do the boss equivalent. So I got Basilisk task, because we're still trying to get those jaws. We don't have any. Got a Superior. Takes a long time to kill them, but absolutely nothing but the extra XP. So I carried on with that, and I got a Kraken task, which, as we all know, I'm still after that trident because it just seems so elusive. I found out recently from just looking at the drop tables, which for some reason I'd not looked at before, it would have actually been easier for me to get an uncharged trident from the just the normal minions rather than going for the boss to try and get the full one. But I think at the time I'd have still wanted to get one from the boss because we didn't have a surplus of runes in order to charge it, and I didn't really want to spend a lot of GP buying the runes to charge a Trident of the Seas. As we all know, my setup for this, it's been in a couple of videos now. I'm at 437 KC, quite a lot, but I'm just using the Slayer Staff imbued, full Arim, Slayer Helm, Tome of Fire, with some Alk runes, just trying to maximise the uses of these the Slayer enchantments. Really, I've got them, so I might as well try and use them on a boss where they're actually feasible. So I carried on with this. Obviously, these tasks take an incredibly long amount of time. They do drop some very good resources, just like the Trident of the Seas. So we've done it. We've got a full Trident of the Seas, and I've been making a lot of use of this recently. As you can see, at the time, I was quite excited. So only 760k in value, not a huge amount, but in terms of what we can do with our accounts, that's a massive upgrade for every magic option. So doing barrows and all of that will be a great improvement. So I wanted to carry on doing the task. I got all the way up to 500 KC. I was like, well, I've got my trident now. I'm happy. Nobody can complain with that in at least one task. Technically, I think under drop rate, I believe it's a 1 in 512. I could be wrong on that, so don't flame me if I am. But I thought, you know what, I'll use it for a few kills, see if it's better than the Slayer staff. I will be continuing to probably use the Slayer staff because it uses up my mind runes. I use up the Slayer enchantments. It's just worth it rather than continually wasting the charges on the trident, and I can use that on a better activity that we're doing at the time. But I thought, I'll get a few kills with it, see what it's like, and just bask in its glory of attaining something that I've been after ever since I hit 87 Slayer. I think at this point I was somewhere in the mid 90, something like that. So it's been a long time trying to get Kraken tasks. So I'm very impressed that I've finally managed to get it. So we're just coming up on our kill for this one, and we ended up getting another collection log item, the Jar of Dirt. This is the only jar I have ever got on any account, so it was fantastic. So I then put it to good use, as I said I would. I made some of those anti-venoms and tried out Zulrah. This was the result many times. I completely died loads. I got 92 magic there completely by accident. You'll see from my tile markers I was doing a mage only rotation because I don't feel confident yet to try and do the switches. So the whole point is, obviously I've got the tiles numbered there, as you'll see. On each phase of Zulrah, that is where you will stand, as long as a green Zulrah comes out on the left side or the east side of the spawn area, for a better term. Once you know that that's the rotation you're on, you literally can just follow those tiles I have marked. I watched a guide on it, and I'll link that in the description. A fantastic way of showing me how to do it. It took me many attempts. I just thought, I'm just lacking the damage a lot of the time. But having those anti-venoms made such a huge difference in terms of my ability to actually kill Zulrah, because I wasn't sitting there worried about the venom all the time. I know for lots and lots of people this is not something that's a difficult piece of content, and people farm it. The money snake pumps out items for everyone, but for me it's always been something that I've found quite challenging. On my main account I've killed Vorkath a bunch of times. I've killed some other high-end bosses, and they don't seem to faze me as much as Zulrah. I don't know why. I just can't seem to get the grip of this boss. But hopefully, we'll carry on, and we'll see the hopeful kill that I'm getting here. I'm sweating so hard to try and do this. I've been doing it for an entire evening. At this point, it's nearly 10 o'clock at night. Was still really hard. Like, I really need to try this. I really need to get it done, because the amount it will progress me in terms of I can get Elite Void, I can finally complete the last hard diary I've got to do, which was a little bit of a frustration because when you've started pumping out all of these diaries and you're like, oh, I'm going to get all the hards done, and I still haven't finished one because of one boss kill. It was extremely frustrating for me, but I managed to, push through on this kill. I was really good on all my resources, trying really hard to preserve all of that food because it only takes, as you saw in the last clip of me trying this, one mistake and you can be stacked out for so much damage. The same as if your ring of recoils break, everything like that. The setup I was using here was a complete Mage max, the same, similar to what I would use at Barrow. So full Arams, my Infinity Boots, Mage Arena 2 cape, the Book of Darkness, as well as obviously the new Trident, because for some reason it just seems to slap so much harder than everything else. I know a lot of people could probably come here with Ivans because it has that 25 max hit, but I just couldn't for whatever reason. So now, because I'm standing back on the last tile, the rotation is going to start again, which is where you get the quote-unquote Jad phase, where it can just sort of go wherever, do whatever it wants, hits you with both attacks, and goes a bit nuts, and it can be a bit difficult, and it starts on a completely new rotation. So you have to kind of just hope that you're not going to get absolutely slapped when you're doing this. Luckily for me, this phase, it was just spitting out acid until that point. It hits me for a 32, so I had quite a long time to try and do some damage, but it doesn't take a lot to magic at this point, so it's a bit disappointing when you get round to it. But it was then just mad rush at this point. I was really worried about my recoil breaking. It had happened a couple of times when I was attempting it before, and I was like, that's the only thing I wanted to avoid, was more more damage being taken from the snakelings. Luckily, obviously, I know now where to stand to try and avoid some of the attacks, like this one. I was completely out of the anti-venoms, so I got a bit worried when I get venomed here, but I knew I could stand here and safe spot the melee phase rather than anything else. My ring of recoil actually did shatter, so I did have to punch, or I was going to punch, but I ended up just casting the spell out of sheer panic to kill the little snakeling. Put on my prayers. I still had plenty of prayer and plenty of food. I was very confident on this kill. I don't know what came over me, because all of a sudden it just all seemed to work out and come around for a beautiful kill. Well, I say beautiful, most people think this is probably the most scuffed thing they've ever watched, but for me it was absolutely beautiful. And again, I reacted very wildly, but I got enough stuff in order to make some more anti-venoms. I got some Zulrah scales and completed the Western hard diaries, so there was absolutely no complaints from me. Nearly a 5-minute kill, as I have been waffling on for that entire time, so I'm sure you're tired of hearing my voice by now. But we managed to get that done, and I'm going to pass you over to my live reaction to this, because I was absolutely gassed at this point. So enjoy. Jesus Christ, we did it. Oh, there's been so many attempts today. Oh, it's taken me so long, but oh my god, we finally got it done. So yeah, no, time to get Elite Void, and then I guess we'll head back there at some point. But oh, I know it's easy for loads of people, but wow, that's the first time I've ever done that, and oh god. Whew. On to the next, however many kills, get the blowpipe and everything else that we need. So as you can tell from that piece of live commentary there from me, I was super happy to get that done. It's always good when I can complete some new PVM content, especially on this account with the Iron Man restrictions that there are. So now that that's done, we will look to obviously do some more. I might do some more Mage only, or try and get in some Elite Void with the range equipment I've got. Maybe try and get some upgrades where I can. So I went to see the Elder Gnome Child, got my banner 4 and the lamp. I'm obviously going to use that on Herblore, as my favourite phrase is that it's my bottleneck. But it's a nice 15k XP, so not going to complain about that. But for now, that's it for this episode. Until next time.